Welcome back to our channel, your premier destination for the most comprehensive and meticulous analysis of the dramatic lives, corporate maneuvers, and high stakes relationships shaping our favorite town. Today is a beautiful day to unravel the complexities of family, business, and public relations. Grab a comfortable seat, pour yourself a warm beverage, and let us dive deep into the latest explosive developments. The intersection of family dynamics and high stakes corporate branding has always been a treacherous landscape, but rarely has it been as vividly volatile as the current situation unfolding between Chelsea and Kat. The two sisters and business partners are currently standing on the precipice of a monumental shift, about to witness firsthand whether the swirling vortex of public controversies will ultimately benefit their burgeoning empire or cause irreparable harm to the brand they have worked so tirelessly to build. This is no longer merely a tale of sibling rivalry or personal disagreements. It has evolved into a fascinating real-time case study on the modern mechanics of fame, public relations, and the fragile nature of consumer trust. For months, Chelsea and Kat have been forced into an exhausting and relentless balancing act. On one side of the scale rests their meticulously curated brand image, a vision of sophistication, premium quality, and aspirational lifestyle that Kat has desperately tried to maintain. On the other side of the scale lies the messy, unpredictable, and often chaotic reality of their personal lives. The challenge of keeping these two worlds separate has always been difficult, but recent events have shattered the invisible wall, dividing their private struggles from their public enterprise. They are now continually forced into a defensive posture, attempting to harmonize the pristine expectations of their consumer base with the incredibly messy realities of their personal controversies. The primary catalyst for this current crisis stems from the severe and highly publicized fallout surrounding Bill and the extended family. The events involving Bill were not merely a private family tragedy or a quiet domestic dispute. They exploded into the public consciousness with the force of a detonated bomb. The resulting shockwaves completely stripped Chelsea of her ability to easily control the narrative. For years, Chelsea had managed to project a specific, carefully tailored version of herself to the world. She was the master of her own public relations, dictating what the public knew and how they perceived her. However, the scandal surrounding Bill ripped the steering wheel from her hands. She is no longer the author of her own story. Instead, she has become a subject of relentless speculation, gossip, and media scrutiny. Compounding this loss of control is the fact that the media and the public are no longer satisfied with just the current scandal. The blood in the water has attracted a frenzy of attention, leading to a relentless excavation of Chelsea's past. Issues, mistakes, and buried secrets from her history are now being systematically dug up and paraded before the court of public opinion. Every day seems to bring a new headline, a new rumor, or a newly unearthed piece of her past that she must answer for. This continuous onslaught has placed Chelsea in an incredibly vulnerable position, forcing her to constantly defend herself against ghosts she thought she had long since vanquished. The psychological toll of this unrelenting exposure cannot be overstated, as it has fundamentally altered how Chelsea interacts with the world and her audience. Faced with this complete loss of narrative control and the overwhelming pressure of public scrutiny, Chelsea has undergone a radical psychological and strategic shift. Rather than retreating into the shadows, issuing carefully worded apologies, or hiding until the storm passes, she has chosen a highly controversial path. She is leaning into the chaos. Chelsea has developed a distinct tendency to take advantage of the intense attention focused upon her. She has seemingly adopted the philosophy that all press is good press, realizing that the more controversy surrounds her, the more people are talking about her. In the modern attention economy, visibility is a currency of its own, and Chelsea has decided to cash in on the notoriety that the scandals have provided. This new strategy culminated in a truly explosive moment that has sent shockwaves through their business. Chelsea's decision to take her personal issues directly to a live internet audience in a moment of either raw vulnerability or calculated manipulation, perhaps a dangerous mixture of both, Chelsea activated a live stream and broadcasted her private grievances, the family drama, and the ongoing controversies to thousands of watching eyes. She bypassed the traditional public relations filters, ignored the carefully crafted brand guidelines, and spoke directly to the masses. The live stream was unfiltered, emotional, and deeply revealing, tearing down the veil of privacy that had previously shielded the family's inner workings from their customers. When Kat discovered what Chelsea had done, her reaction was nothing short of volcanic. For Kat, the live stream was not just a lapse in judgment, it was a fundamental betrayal of everything they had built together. Kat is the meticulous architect of their brand's aesthetic and ethos. She envisions their company as a beacon of premium quality, an exclusive and high-end entity that sits far above the petty squabbles of tabloid culture. Watching her sister air their dirty laundry in real time, reading the flood of shocking comments from viewers, and seeing their private pain transformed into public entertainment was a nightmare scenario for Kat. She was absolutely furious, viewing Chelsea's actions as deeply reckless and profoundly damaging. Kat's perspective is rooted in traditional high-end brand management. She firmly believes that Chelsea is dragging their private matters into the public square in a manner that will inevitably and severely tarnish the image of both women. Kat understands that in the luxury market, mystique and elegance are paramount. Consumers buy into an aspiration, a dream of perfection. When the faces of that brand are suddenly embroiled in messy, public, reality television-style drama, the illusion is broken. Kat fears that the association with scandal will cheapen their products, driving away their high-end clientele and replacing them with an audience that is only interested in the morbid fascination of a train wreck. The ensuing argument between the two sisters over the live stream was explosive, marking a definitive turning point in their relationship. This is no longer simply a sisterly conflict over boundaries or personal respect. It has metastasized into a massive commercial issue that threatens the very foundation of their company. They are locked in a bitter ideological war over the future direction of their business. It is a battle between the allure of viral notoriety and the long-term sustainability of prestige branding. The stakes have never been higher, as the outcome of this dispute will likely determine whether their brand survives the year or collapses under the weight of its own internal contradictions. Chelsea's argument in this commercial dispute is undeniably compelling from a purely numerical standpoint. She can point to the immediate aftermath of the live stream and the surrounding controversies as proof of concept. The reality is that the scandal has generated an unprecedented level of buzz. Website traffic has likely skyrocketed, social media engagement is off the charts, and brand awareness has reached demographics they previously could not penetrate. Chelsea argues that in today's saturated market, capturing the public's attention is the hardest part of the battle. If her personal controversies act as a magnet that draws eyes to their products, then she views it as a net positive. She is willing to sacrifice personal privacy and a polished image for the sake of sheer volume and visibility. Kat, however, is terrified of the long-term implications of this strategy. She desperately wants to maintain strict control over their image. She is acutely aware of the danger of becoming a flash-in-the-pan brand that is only relevant as long as the drama continues. Kat fears that Chelsea's rogue live streams and the perpetual cycle of scandals will irreversibly transform their premium brand into a cheap tabloid story. She knows that once a brand becomes synonymous with trashy drama, it is nearly impossible to pivot back to being respected as a luxury authority. Kat is fighting to protect the soul of their company, terrified that Chelsea's thirst for the spotlight will ultimately burn down the house they built together. This fundamental clash of philosophies leaves the sisters at a dangerous impasse. Chelsea is riding the wave of infamy, feeling empowered by the constant chatter and the ability to command an audience, even if that audience is gathered for the wrong reasons. She feels that hiding from the past or apologizing for the messy reality of the Bills situation is a sign of weakness. Instead, she is weaponizing the scrutiny, turning the very things that were meant to destroy her into tools for brand expansion. It is a high risk, high reward strategy that requires nerves of steel and a willingness to endure constant public judgment. Kat, conversely, feels like she is constantly playing defense, scrambling to do damage control for a partner who refuses to be controlled. The stress of managing the brand while simultaneously managing her sister's unpredictable outbursts is taking a massive toll. The trust between them is eroding at an alarming rate. Kat looks at the sales spikes generated by the controversies not as a victory, but as a dangerous addiction. She wonders how long they can sustain this model before the public grows weary of the drama and moves on to the next scandal, leaving their brand tainted and abandoned in the wreckage. The ultimate question that now hangs heavily over Fairmont Crest is whether the explosive notoriety generated by these controversies will actually help Chelsea and Kat sell the brand, or if it will ultimately cause both of them to completely lose control of their image. Can a company built on the promise of premium elegance survive when its founders are the main characters in a continuous public soap opera? History has shown that some brands can successfully navigate the transition from prestige to pop culture phenomenon, leveraging controversy into massive financial empires. However, history is also littered with the ruins of companies that leaned too far into the scandal, losing their core customer base and alienating the very people who originally supported them. As the media continues to dig into Chelsea's past and the shadow of the Bill saga looms large, the pressure cooker environment will only intensify. Every new revelation, every subsequent live stream, and every public comment will be scrutinized by millions. The sisters are walking a razor-thin tightrope over a canyon of public opinion. If they can find a way to harness the incredible energy of this attention while somehow steering the narrative back toward the quality of their brand, they could achieve unprecedented success. But if Chelsea continues to operate without a filter and Kat fails to rein in the chaos, they risk losing everything. The brand, their reputations, and perhaps most tragically, their relationship as sisters are all on the line in this high-stakes gamble of modern public relations.